Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Creative Mornings, Creative Evening, right? Some of you are used to meeting with us very early in the morning, and we like to have some evening events because not everybody can make it in the morning. Not all of us are morning people either, right? So, welcome. My name is Amina Brown. I am the chapter host for Creative Mornings Atlanta. We are so happy to have you. This is going to be a great night. So much in store. We can't wait. Thank you all for joining us. We know many of you are very Zoom proficient, as we have had to learn a lot about Zoom over the past couple of years, but we'll just go over some Zoom housekeeping in case you are new to Zoom or need a little refresher. You can feel free to change your screen name if you want to do that. And if so, there is a little three dots in the corner of your screen. And when you click on that, you can click on there. You can add your nickname if you want. You can add your pronouns. You can add emojis. You can do all sorts of things there. So you are welcome to do that if you'd like. Zoom also has different views. You can do a gallery view where you can sort of see everybody that's here, or you can do a speaker view where you are more so seeing the person who is speaking at the moment, right? So make sure that you are able to do all of those things as well. You could go to the corner of your screen. You should have a bar that you can click on there that will say view, and you can decide if you want to have your view where you can see everyone or if you can just see the person that's speaking. Can y'all hear me okay? I wanted to make sure. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. Um, Also, we will be doing a Q&A session with Moksha, who we will tell you more about in a minute, is our facilitator today. So when we get ready to do our Q&A session, we want you to use this Zoom function where you can raise your hand. So on the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should have something that says reactions. This means if Moksha says something and you love it or you want to use an emoji to express how you feel about it, you can do that. But it also has a little button there where it says raise hand. So when we get to the Q&A part, you'll see Katie is raising her hand here as an example, right? Or adding her emoji rather. And you can raise your hand as well, and we will be able to call on you and be able to unmute you from there, okay? Let me see anything else I'm missing there. I think I'm in there. Okay. Let me see if I can fix one thing, y'all. I'm going to see if I can do a spotlight. Bam. There we are. Okay. So obviously Creative Mornings is now Creative Evenings for what we're doing, but thankfully Creative Mornings doesn't just happen in Atlanta. If this is your first time ever to anything Creative Mornings has ever done, we are actually doing something that over 200 chapters all over the world are doing right now. We are all exploring the same theme each month. Each chapter around the world is also led by volunteers. I'm the chapter host here, but I am doing these events along with a team of 16 other badass rock star volunteers, right? We all do this because we love Atlanta. We love the creative community. So we're happy to be a part of Creative Mornings for that reason. And Creative Mornings Atlanta specifically decided to do a little mixing up of things this year. So if you're used to our events, normally are every last Friday, every month in the morning. What we're doing this year is alternating different months every other month, right? So for example, this month is a field trip month. So when it's a field trip month, that means every last Thursday of that month will be this event. And then the next month, which will be April for us, right? We will go back to a morning event, right? So we're basically alternating, yes. So February was a morning event. March is an evening event. April will be a morning event. May will be an evening event, and so on, right? So that's a bit different than we've done the events in the past, but we hope you like that. And that gives you an opportunity to experience some different things. We love our Atlanta Creative Mornings community. So shout out to that. This month's theme that we are exploring, along with all of the chapters all over the world, we're exploring the theme folklore, right? When you think of folklore, the first thing that always comes to my mind is storytelling, right? We think of folklore that can be related to particular cultures. My mind is always thinking about stories that like we tell when we're like around a fire. It could be a bonfire, it could be a campfire, right? We think of those things when we think of folklore, and folklore is about literal storytelling, but it's also about all the different ways we tell our stories as human beings, all the different ways we use our bodies, our art, our creativity to say, here's who I am. Here's where I come from. Here's the people that I come from. So we're really excited to explore that theme more tonight. Creative Mornings would not be possible without our partners, and we are like doubly thankful because MailChimp is our global partner. That means MailChimp partners with all of our Creative Mornings chapters all over the world. And for us here in Atlanta, MailChimp is also our local partner as well. So we love that. So we say thank you and thank you again to MailChimp because they're amazing. Also, don't forget that MailChimp has all sorts of amazing things that are available to us, especially those of us that are freelancers, that work in creative space, that work in ad space. Pretty much any place where you work, MailChimp has some other different things that you can do, that you can engage with, different things MailChimp has going, right? So you can check out a new program, I guess more like an initiative they have, 25 big lessons from small businesses. So the team from MailChimp spoke to small business owners from all around the world to find out what are their most important business decisions. How are they making those decisions, especially right now as we've all been experiencing the pandemic these past couple of years. So if you are interested in that, if you want to know how you can build a team as a business founder, how to deal with competitors, how to create an inclusive company, this thing is for you. So the link is there in the chat. Make sure you check that out. Check out 25 big lessons from small businesses. You can check that out from the link there. And of course, you can check out MailChimp.com. You can follow MailChimp on Instagram and Twitter. That's another way to stay connected there. We also want to do a shout out to just where all of our hearts are thinking about our community that is there in Ukraine. We actually have 3 chapters in our Creative Mornings community that are there in Ukraine right now. And so our hearts, I'm sure as many of your hearts are just hurting and aching about what's happening in Ukraine right now. And our Creative Mornings HQ community team does stay in touch with those chapters. They are at the moment doing as okay can be in this type of circumstance. And when we asked them what they needed, they did send us some organizations that you can support. I know when things like this, especially, are happening globally, we all can feel just kind of helpless. Like, we don't want to see this happening. What can we do to help the folks that are most affected and most vulnerable in these situations? So you will find a link there in the chat where you can go there. You can look at some organizations that you can support. And you will also be able to find these resources on the Creative Mornings website as well. Next month, this is exciting, people, okay? Tonight is exciting, and tonight is leading into another month of exciting things. Many of you have been sending us your comments and well wishes on our virtual events, and you've been saying, wow, hope everything goes well with Zoom, but please let me know when the event's back in person. So we are going to be back in person, y'all. First in-person event since the pandemic. It has been literally 2 years. Our last in-person event was February of 2020, y'all. So next month we will be in person, jazz hands. Our event is going to be at the Museum of Design and Art, also known as MODA. Most of you are familiar with the High Museum. MODA is actually across the street, like literally directly across the street from the High. You may be familiar with Butter ATL, which is actually its own media company, but it's also a fantastic follow on social media for those of us that really love tried and true Atlanta culture. So the founders of Butter ATL, Brandon Butler and Mike Jordan, will be our speakers next month. And I also just confirmed that we will be joined by comedian Minori Hines as our performing artist next month. So we would love for you to be a part of that. Let me just give you a little sneak peek into how that's going to go. And we'll talk more about this on our socials leading up to everything. So HQ is asking us to limit these events across, like globally across all chapters, to make these events smaller audiences so that we can make sure we can try to give people enough space to be distanced and just try to keep everyone safe. So we'll be limited to only 100 tickets that will be available, y'all. I know. I know. So that means when the tickets go on sale, if you really want to be there in person, you want to get your ticket. But if you can't be there in person, or if you don't get a ticket, don't worry, because it is also going to be live streamed. You can enjoy it from the beauty of your home. You can enjoy it from some of our coffee shops that have opened again now. You have all sorts of places you can do this, and then it's going to be recorded too. So you have all the things. So we can't wait to actually get to see some of your faces in person. Our events that are in person moving forward will also be just requiring masks of everyone, again, just to keep everyone safe. So we're excited about that. Make sure you're following everything on our socials and our newsletter as well, so you can know when registration is happening. Now, drum rolls, please, about what we are actually going to be doing tonight. When I thought about folklore, I was talking with our team, and we have a specific team that it's our connections team that actually helps to put together and plan the field trips. And when I thought about folklore, I thought about Moksha Rao. And if any of you have been around our community a while, this is not your first time seeing Moksha. Moksha has actually performed traditional Indian dance as a part of our events before. And she and I just met each other through Creative Mornings and kind of stay in touch through DM. And she just kept coming to my mind. And I'm so glad that she agreed to be here today. So our speaker this month is a SCAD graduate with an MFA in graphic design, product designer at the Weather Channel by day, and cultural dancer by night. Please give a very warm Creative Mornings, Creative Evenings welcome to our facilitator, Moksha.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Amina. You actually already took a couple of the things that I was going to say. So, you saved me from that. But thank you all for being here tonight. This is a really special presentation that I wanted to share with you all. As Amina said, that I'm a dancer by day and a designer by night. I was born and raised in Bombay City. I lived there for 23 years, and then I moved here just 5 years ago for my MFA in SCAD. After that, I landed a job at the Weather Channel, and I do feel like designer by day and dancer by night rings really true for me because both are very, very important facets to my personality. I've been formally training in an Indian classical dance form since I was 5 years old. I like to call that India's equivalent to ballet because you got to go into it at a really young age. And I performed with a troupe back in India. And then I moved here and I started giving performances at events and festivals in and around Atlanta, like the Dogwood Festival and Magnolia Festival, etc. I actually did perform with Creative Mornings 2 years ago. And I'm just really psyched to teach you guys a little bit about Indian dance and specifically the kind of dance form that I do. So for those of you guys who are familiar with India, we have an abundance of diversity, and like how we have so many different languages, we have many different dance forms. And I'm just going to break those up into 8 because they are broadly classified into 8 dance forms. So we've got Kathak, which is from the northern states of Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. We've got Satriya and Manipuri from the eastern states of Assam and Mizoram. We've got Odissi from Orissa. And from the south, we have Kathakali and Mohiniyattam, Kuchipudi, and Bharatanatyam, which is what I am formally trained in. So what exactly is Bharatanatyam? Bharatanatyam is a form of Indian classical dance. It originated in Tamil Nadu, which is actually where my mom is from. And although I was born and raised in Bombay, I was put into Bharatanatyam dance classes when I was 5 years old. It's definitely one of the oldest dance forms in the world. And it used to be used as a form of entertainment in temples and palaces back in the day, where performers who performed this art form, they would dance in front of like the rulers. Its origins can be traced back to this very important text in Hindu mythology. It's called the Natya Shastra. It was written by a famed theatrologist and musicologist whose name was Bharata Muni, and that is how it got the word Bharatanatyam. And another really fun fact about it is, for those of you guys who are familiar with Hindu mythology, the dance culture, I don't know if you guys would have seen this logo in places, but it is molded after the symbol of the god of dance and dramatic arts, whose name is Lord Shiva. Um, I only have a few, half an hour for this presentation, so I cannot get into all the components of Bharatanatyam because there is so much to it. But I just want to highlight a little bit about how traditionally this art form is performed on stage in front of a live audience with a live orchestra, which is complete with Indian instruments like the mridangam, which is an Indian version of a drum, and also a violin. And it also has a singer and the rhythm keeper who uses these tiny little cymbals to keep the beat so that the dancer doesn't miss a beat. And the costume is actually very elaborate. Again, this is the traditional Bharatanatyam. It's kind of like a sari, but it's a dance sari. So you can wear it like a pant and a top. So you're able to move around a little bit better than a traditional sari. And it's a very expressive drama dance form of performance art. So sometimes we are enacting fables from Hindu mythology texts like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So before I move into the mudras part of this presentation, I kind of wanted to highlight a little bit about my dance reel so that you guys get an idea of what Bharatanatyam is. And I will caveat this to say that my version is a little different. It's a bit more contemporary. So I hope you guys enjoy my reel. Thank you. I can see Amina and Katie there. So thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So let's delve into mudras. Mudras is the Sanskrit word that means hand and finger gestures. They're used to clearly communicate specific ideas, events, actions, and or creatures. So there are approximately 50 mudras out there. And they're broadly classified into two types. So you've got single hand, and then you have double hand. So the single hand mudras can be just used, you can just use it with one hand and it conveys the expression, while you have double hand mudras, which are usually used together. Like, for example, when you want to show fish, you show both your hands together like that. So there are 28 single hand and 23 double hand. And we are not going to go into all of these today, but I did want to talk a little bit about my illustration series before we start our workshop. Um, so during the pandemic, I started thinking of ways to combine my graphic designery minimalistic style with my very non-minimalistic, colorful Indian part of my brain. And it gave birth to this really fun series I created called the Minimalist Dancer series, where I used different like poses and photographs of myself and other dancers around the world. And I used them to create very, very clear cut minimalistic drawings. And this was really well received. I sold a couple of these online, and I had a lot of people asking me a little bit more about my dance as I was, drawing these and uploading them to Instagram. And I decided to use that as an opportunity to join Inktober. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, Inktober is an online campaign created by this really talented illustrator called Jake Parker. What he does is he releases one prompt a day for the entire month of October. And the artist who decides to join this, what they got to do is basically take that prompt, and in every day they got to upload one drawing of that prompt. So, for example, in 2020, during the pandemic, I decided, I had a lot of free time, like we all did. So I decided to do Inktober. And the first prompt was fish. And I was thinking, maybe I can use this as an opportunity to kind of educate people about Bharatanatyam, because I do a lot of the times I've performed. After my performance, I would have people come up to me and be like, it was so beautiful to watch you up there, but I didn't really get what a lot of the hand gestures meant. And I thought this would be a really good, fun way to educate people a little bit more about mudras, because there are so many out there and it's so interesting, and it kind of helps you understand the dance a little bit. Some mudras are more expressive than others. Some of them are just more for, aesthetically pleasing mudras, while some are actually trying to tell a story. So I finished the campaign in 2020, and I would say this was more an, on the nose. Like, for example, like the prompt was fish, and I drew the mudra for fish. The next year, I decided to take a few creative liberties. So in 2021, when I did Inktober, it got a little difficult because there were a lot of prompts out there that you couldn't really have a specific mudra for, maybe a pose, but not really a mudra. So, for example, one of the prompts was knot. And there isn't really a specific mudra for knot, but I decided to show, a dancer tying ankle bells around her foot and, showing her tying it as a knot. And one of the prompts was patch, I had no idea what I was going to draw for patch. And then I decided to draw a patchwork sari. So I decided to take a few creative liberties with the second round of Inktober, and I had a lot of fun doing this. And that's where we come to the interactive element of this presentation. All of you guys do some stretches, because you're gonna have to follow along. Feel free to turn your cameras on, off, whatever. I thought I'm just gonna go through like 10 mudras with y'all and just talk a little bit about each, and then we're gonna play a little game after that. So let's start with one of the most popular and not easy level medium mudras. It's called Ala Padma. So what you do is you just put your hand out like this. And sometimes you can use this with just one hand. Sometimes you can use it with both hands. And it actually tells a different story, whether you use it with, yeah, Amina, you're nailing it. So for example, if you use it with both hands, it's to show a fully bloomed lotus. If you use it with one hand, it's to show, if you're showing a fruit, or if you're showing, circular movement like a moon or a sun in the sky. Sometimes it can also be used to show beauty if you show it around your face. So Alapadma, the reason I gave it a medium is because I've always, ever since I was 5 and I've been training, for some reason, every time I do it, my pinky and my ring finger decide to just get glued together, which is not right. So that's why I decided to put this as a level medium. Probably you guys will do better than me, but I always feel like as I'm performing, like I always do this, and I just don't know why. The second mudra is called Mayura. So in Sanskrit, Mayura means peacock. So this depicts a peacock's neck. So basically what you do is you take your ring finger and you have it meet your thumb, and that's it. You got Mayura. It could also signify a bird. Sometimes you attach like your other hand below it to show the tail, of the bird. It could also be to separate hair locks and also to apply, the red forehead dot that Indians apply, the bindi. The third mudra is called chatura. So you basically take your hand and you separate your pinky from the other three fingers, and then you take your thumb and just support it behind. And that's chatura. So this indicates, this is sometimes mostly used with both hands. It's to indicate like lesser quantity, like if you're trying to show like, oh, that's it, just a little bit. Also, it can be used to show gold or copper, dampness if something is a little wet. It can also be used to show grief if you do it like this. Sometimes it signifies the eyes or the face. I would give this a medium as well. Next one is called Sukatunda. So this one's interesting. It's not used that much. It's mostly used when you're enacting, a scene from the Ramayana or the Mahabharata or something. I don't use this mudra a lot because it is not easy to do on the spot. So you basically take your hand and your pointer finger and your ring finger have to go down, but the other two have to remain up. And to do it like, when you're chill at home is easier, but when you're trying to do it in the middle of a performance, it becomes all sorts of weird things. So this is an interesting one, but it's not used that often. I just wanted to put it out there. The next one is called Hamsa Paksha. Again, a very common mudra. It's mostly used to show, like a cover, or if you're showing a bridge or the construction of a bridge. So it looks like that. Then we've got, this is one of the most complicated mudras. Not only its name is complicated, it also has many variations. And I'm going to show you a different one from what's drawn here. So this is how it actually looks. There are many, many, many variations, y'all. So you start with this, and then you take your pinky and your ring finger out, and you leave the other one down. It's called Kataka Mukha. It is not a fun mudra. It is very hard. It can be used to show, if you're trying to show like a battle scene, which happens in the Mahabharata a lot, and you're trying to show like the warrior drawing his bow and arrow, you do it this way. And the drawing of the arrow is used, the Kataka is used for that. So this one actually comes easier to me than the parrot's head one I showed you guys. I don't know how, but it just does. It's also sometimes used to show, if you're holding a fan, any Bridgerton fans out there, just doing something like that. Yeah. And then holding a horse's reins, like if you're riding a chariot. So this is definitely a hard mudra because, like I said, even in the screen here, I'm showing you guys a different one, but what I've drawn is like this. So it changes. I wouldn't trust this guy. He's very versatile. Then we've got, this is the double hand mudras I was telling you guys about. This is called Matsya. It's just to show a fish. So you basically take one hand, you take out your thumb, and you take the other hand with the same thing and just place them on top of each other and just put them down that way. So that just shows. Amina, you got it. It's right there. There you go. So this is just to show a fish. And you have to use both hands for this mudra. You can't just show one because this is a separate mudra by itself. Then we've got Kapita, which was like this. It shows, if you're showing milking a cow, and any of my Indian girls out there applying eyeliner, can't live without that. Holding a flower, grasping at the end of robes, like if you're trying to show someone getting ready, or offering an incense or a light. And if you guys thought any of those were really hard, I got a really fun one for y'all. This is my favorite mudra. It's called Pataka. That's it. That's all you got to do. And this is by far the most versatile one. It can be used. It depends on how you use it. So it can be like if you want to show someone blessing someone, or if you want to depict like the air or the sky or the water, or if you want to even show a plate or a stop sign, and a slap. And after last weekend, I think it's pretty clear that you don't have to be a Bharatanatyam dancer to do this one. So I'm just going to leave that one there. So let's move on to let's flex our skills. I think you guys have a little bit more knowledge now about this. So I'm going to show you guys 10 poses, and it's gonna be multiple choice. And y'all can just put it in the chat what y'all think each is, and we'll see who gets it right. So are you guys ready? All right, let's do this. So what do y'all think this pose signifies? You all do not have to name the mudra. You'll just have to pick one of the 3 choices on the screen. All right, I'm going to reveal. So I don't know if anyone got it, but oh wait, Cherry did. Awesome. So it's to pick. So the name of the mudra is Hamsasya. It means to to show like plucking of a flower, or to pick. In this particular case, it's showing picking up a flower. Let's go to the next one. So this one, I think this is going to be a little easier. Yes. We bring back one of the most versatile mudras, Alapadma, which can be used for so many things, but in this case, it's usually used to show, the sun or the moon in the sky. What about this one? You got it. Yeah. So this is, again, another versatile one, Pataka, to show hope. And the reason it shows that is because you're pointing it up at the sky. So if you were to just lower it and point it at eye level, it doesn't show hope anymore. It shows like you're beckoning someone or you're telling someone something. So it does change, like the nuances of each mudra change with like how you use it. This one's also versatile. So I just wanted to take a quick second to talk a little bit, like I was talking earlier, about the different facets and components of Bharatanatyam. So one of the major things is it's a very emotive dance form. And we have 9 major emotions that are used throughout the dance. And this is one of the emotions. It's called a rasa. So this one is called bibhatsa, which means disgust. So it's to show someone who's just kind of done with, I don't know, COVID or something. You got it. So this is one of the examples of using 2 different mudras together to create something. So in this case, you're trying to show, for example, someone on the battlefield who's drawing his bow and arrow, but he's using Shikara, which is one mudra in his left hand, but he's using Alapadma in the other hand to show that he released the arrow. So this is a classic example of 2 different single hand mudras to create one. So this one is a lot more easy to understand when it's in motion. So it's to show someone who is not of sound mind. So it's to show dizzy. The mudra is called Suchi. It's basically just the number 1. And it can be used for many different things, but in this case, it's to show someone who's, I don't know, partied too hard on a Saturday night or something. So Some of you guys got it. Yeah. So again, this is an example of using two mudras to create one. So in this case, you're using Shikara in your right hand and then using Ardha Chandra in your left hand, and you're putting them together. And it's supposed to create a plow. So you're trying to show like a farmer working in the field. Yes, you all got this one. So this one is actually used to show in for those of you guys who are familiar with Indian mythology. So you have like the demons or the Ravanas or Rakshasas in these stories who have like these really big ass mustaches and big eyes. So this is just trying to highlight how scary they are, and to show a demon in dance. So you kind of do this with your eyes and you make them big. You got it. Yeah. So this is again one of my favorites, Pataka. Basically, the action is like you do this to show, someone's head getting chopped off or to slay. You got it. So this is Pataka again, but it's to show, a mountain. It can also sometimes be used to show big, but in this case, it's showing someone who is showing the mound of the mountain, and the action is kind of like this. So again, this is Padaka is one of the most versatile mudras with Alapadma. They're used in so many different, to tell so many different stories, and they can be used with both hands or with single hand or combined with another mudra as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Those are all actually my Inktober sketches that I worked on. And I had a lot of fun working on them, studying anatomy, and just, bringing all these mudras to life. And it was one of my most favorite campaigns I've worked on, not just on, as a personal campaign, but just on Instagram as well. I wanted to just end this presentation with a little bit about my version of dance. I feel as a performing artist, it's really important to keep growing, and it's really important to keep borrowing from other dancers and other cultures and getting inspired from each other, to not only stick to classical, but also bring in the contemporary and modern. And I feel like, although I was formally trained in Bharatanatyam since I was 5, um, I've been a lifelong practitioner of yoga, and I've always loved hip hop and gymnastics. And I wasn't formally trained in any of those, but I do feel like I have worked on my routines in such a way that I not only have the Bharatanatyam classical component to it, I also have borrowed a little bit from, yoga, gymnastics, and hip hop to create something that I call fusion. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of a snippet from one of my performances last year that highlights this. I started off with something a little traditional, and then I went into a little bit of, I think, something you guys will enjoy. So I'm just going to play this. Thank you all for being here today. I had a really good time. I hope you all learned a little something about Indian dance. And for those of you guys who are in Atlanta, I am actually performing next weekend at the Dogwood Festival on Sunday. So I hope to see you guys there. And I'm going to kick it back over to Amina.
Y'all, please give all your applause emojis to Moksha. Moksha, thank you so much for sharing this with us. We're going to do some Q&A now with Moksha, which I think is going to be really fun. We actually already have one question, but if you have questions you want to know about Moksha, about her art, about dance, about design, ask Moksha all the things, and she's here to answer as much as she can. Susan asked, what language in the music that of your last performance that you showed us, the first piece of music, what language was that?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is actually a version of Sanskrit. So in so Sanskrit is it's the oldest language in India, and all the languages that we have in India are derived from it. So as I said, Bharatanatyam, which is what I'm trained in, is from South India in Tamil Nadu, the state of Tamil Nadu. We speak a language there called Tamil. And what he was saying as I was, basically giving me the beat, that was not a language per se. That's more a way to keep the beat for the dancer. So it's not an actual language that's spoken. It's kind of like a music language of its own, like how, when you're playing the piano, you read the notes to play the piano. It's kind of similar to that. So that what you guys heard was not a specific Indian language. It was just kind of like Sanskrit. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Don't forget
I
to.
always like to think it sounds like the sound of a drum or a beat, because
Mm.
when you're dancing, it's great to use that to keep rhythm. Instead of saying 1 2 3 4, you're kind of saying those things. So it's
Oh,
just very
that's so
helpful.
cool.
Yeah.
So cool, Moksha. This is a curiosity that I have, Moksha, so I'm gonna throw a question to you because I'm just always I have so much admiration for people that are able to work with both the left and right side of their brains, and that you can, part of the work that you do is very left brain, but then a part of the work and art you do is very right brain. Can you talk about what that's like? Have you always been that way, that you were able to sort of hold both of those? Can you tell us a little bit about how that process is for you?
Yeah, absolutely. The I feel like I'm perfect for a UX designer, because that kind of combines the analytical side of my brain with the creative. And for those of y'all who know me, I'm a very organized person. So for me, I like to have everything, I like to be creative and impulsive, but at the same time, I like to have it organized a little bit. And I feel like even dance, it takes a lot. It's like I said, it's kind of like India's equivalent to ballet. It takes a lot of training, and most dancers who of this form, like, they're put into it at such a young age, and they're groomed, because your feet basically have to go completely towards the side, and you got to bend 1 foot shorter than your height, and
Wow.
you got to stay that way for most of the dance. Like if you're doing the very very traditional Bharatanatyam, which I clearly have migrated a little bit away from, because we don't traditionally have backbends in Bharatanatyam, but I thought that was just something I like to do. But I think it's a lot of fun. That's why I love fusion, because I feel like it combines a lot of like my creative side with like my formal training, and it's just fun to see what that can produce. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh, I love that. Michelle says, would you please talk more about the dance outfits? For example, do the color choices have meaning?
that's a really good question, Michelle. So I think I mentioned it very briefly earlier, but I'll talk a bit more about the costumes. So for a traditional performance, we have it's a dance sari. It's kind of like um, I think it's around 5 different pieces of cloth that the dancer has to tie around themselves to be able to perform this form. So you got the pants, and then you got a little blouse, and then you got this cloth that kind of goes over it, and then you've got the fan, which is to me the most important part of it, because every time you bend or you lift your leg up, the fan kind of opens up, and that's what makes it look so beautiful. A lot of the dance forms in India actually do have a fan in the costume. I think Bharatanatyam is one of the most prominent because you're always bending. While in the other dance forms, you can stand, and if you're standing, you can still see the fan, but it doesn't open up so beautifully. So that's why I actually like combining gymnastics with this, because a lot of the poses that you do in yoga or gymnastics, they look beautiful with the fan because the fan opens up in so many different ways. As for color, there is no actual cultural meaning for each sari. We just are, you know, cautioned to use brighter colors because back home, when you're giving a traditional performance, you usually have black curtains behind you. So they try to stay away from, wearing a dark blue or a dark, a black or something. But if you're performing outdoors, like I've been getting a lot of opportunities here to perform outdoors, I'm able to wear, like a black sari, a dance sari with like a little gold brocade and like red highlights. So that way you're not completely lost. Because a lot of times, if you have like a black curtain behind you or you have anything dark behind you, you can't really be seen that well. So there's no real meaning as to what color you should or should not use. But most dancers opt for really, really bright colors. So a lot of common, a very, very common South Indian color scheme is yellow and purple. So
Mm.
that's used very, very largely in India. And then we also have a lot of blues and pinks that go together. So, like, for example, you'll have a pink blouse, but the fan will be blue. So it's kind of like whatever complements each other. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Keep the questions coming, y'all. These are great questions. I wanted to ask about your Inktober. I want to ask about Inktober, but I really, in a larger way, want to ask Moksha about just as a designer, as an illustrator, as a visual artist as well. You can use Inktober as an example here if you'd like, but what are the ways that you keep yourself like inspired or keep yourself able to use that skill in different ways, and what advice would you have for the people that are here that I do not have this visual gift that you have. I don't do that at all. Everything that I create visually looks terrible. But I know that there are some people on here that are designers. They are illustrators. They are, really well versed in the talent that you have, Moksha. So, what would you say is advice for how to stay inspired? What are things that you do to sort of keep yourself inspired and sharp?
That's a great question, Amina. So one thing that I feel has really helped me broaden my approach to this has been yoga. So I've always trained in yoga since I was younger, but not it wasn't like my formal training. Like I would just pick up stuff and learn it here and there. And I did, just before moving here, actually, I did a yoga course that completely changed my life because I realized that I can bring a lot of those aspects into my dance. And because Bharatanatyam is not easy on your knees, a lot of dancers go, they're not able to do it after the age of 30 because it's really hard on your knees to bend that way. And I felt like yoga actually helped me, prolong my dance career a little bit.
Wow.
And another thing about yoga is that the poses, I feel like every time I would do a pose and I was, I'd have the mirror and I'd be training, I'd be like, oh, that looks cool. I'd want to draw that or something, like it just, I feel like I get inspired from very, very different places. And I like watching like other performers, like not necessarily Bharatanatyam performers. I like watching, hip hop artists. I like watching anything that has like fusion dance in it. Like I love watching the gymnastics, yeah, Olympic competitions and stuff, because I feel like it's just inspiring to see what people can do and like try to bring elements of that and make my art form a little more contemporary so that it just reaches more audiences. Because when I did a traditional Bharatanatyam performance here, it was received very, very differently from when I tried incorporating different elements into it, and I had more fun too that way. So I don't know if that really, really answers your question, but I get my inspiration from like very like random different places that are not related to what I'm doing at the moment. And that's just how I've been even as a designer as well. So
Got it. Oh, I love that. Okay, we've got another question, Moksha. I think it's you, Jessica.
It is me, yes. Moksha, I was wondering, so I know that the mudras, they tell a story, you said. So do you choreograph all of those dances? And do you, if you do, or whoever does, is there a story that's thought out ahead of time and then that's how they're put into combination?
Yeah, so actually it varies. So if you're talking about traditional Bharatanatyam dance, yes, very much so. It's not something you can just go and, make up on stage. It's mostly like, different traditional stories from like the Ramayana or the Mahabharata or, Hindu mythology. And you're kind of enacting those stories interspersed with, just aesthetic dance, like pure dance in its glory. So it's kind of a blend of emotive and expressive dance with, the workout part, like I like to call it, because a lot of dancers actually, as they, when they're younger, they do more of, the fast paced workout part of it, and as they grow older, they start migrating more towards like the emotive part of it. And a lot of times those are not on the spot. Like you have to practice those beforehand. Like back home, I would have rehearsals with my troupe before we would go on stage, and we would just kind of like figure everything out. And I owe a lot of what I've learned to my dance teacher. She's no more. She passed away 2 years ago, but she was fantastic. She was a choreographer. She composed her own dances as well, her own songs. She even sang them, and she would keep the rhythm on stage when I would perform. So there's a lot that goes into each dance, and mostly it's telling stories from Hindu mythology. But you can also just have like the aspect which is just pure aesthetic dance. So it depends. But what I showed you guys is mostly the latter.
Got it. Okay. Great question. Thank you so much, Moksha. I think we got all our questions answered, but the good news is, everyone, if you think of another question, you can follow Moksha on social media. You can try to get in her DMs if they're available. You can go to there. So make sure you follow Moksha. We'll put the links here so you can follow her at Moksha_Rao on Instagram. Don't forget, that's next Sunday, right, Moksha? Next Sunday, April 10th at 1:10 p.m. You can see Moksha at the Dogwood Festival. This is such a great time in our city because the weather is so nice and like sunny, but not hot to where we feel like we're going to sweat off everything. So go see Moksha at the Dogwood Festival so you can experience spring before spring turns into a really, really hot summer, everyone. Make sure you do that. We would love to see you all next month at our first in person event. Please be following all of our socials and we'll be sharing all the things with you. Moksha, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Amina. I had a really good time, and I hope you guys learned a little something.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great night. Bye bye.